You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful day. Listen, we talked about this today. Howard's out a little bit today, so it's got me all day this morning here, and we're going to talk about the very thing that we have been talking about for a while now, and that is one thing, that any good news out there, the market's going to rip. We've been talking about that for the last couple of days, and look, it's happened. And you see from the UK, they're starting to say, hey, look, we'll work with you. But some interesting news happened this morning. I saw this morning. Ukraine said they captured some soldiers from China. That's interesting to me, right? Because why? That's a new thing. We've been talking about it right now. Look, there's three things happening right now in the world that has me worried. The first thing right now that has me worried is the two ships sitting off the coast in the Middle East, right? We're looking at Iran. We're looking at possibly 6 B-2 bombers. We heard that this morning, that they were sitting and ready to go for Iran. So it looks like Trump really kind of wants to talk to Iran, and they're going to talk to them, they said, on today and Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. But capturing 2 Chinese and 3 Chinese fighters, at first it was 2, then 3 fighters in Ukraine. All of a sudden now that has Zelensky asking questions. And of course, it's probably true because why is now China? We saw it before with North Korea. So a little bit more tensions there as well. But let's be talking about it right now. Right now, we're looking at the bond year, 10-year now, 4.216%. That tells me everything I need to know, right? As bond yields are starting to push up now a little bit, that means that money is coming out of the bonds. They're going to raise those bond yields up to attract more money into the bond market. So that is interesting. We are now also seeing the big one, Apple, AAPL, looking at right now 185.41 here in the early trade here, up 2.18%. And Bitcoin trying to get back above that 80,000 handle. Remember last week it was 83,000. That 80,000 handle, we could pop right back up. And we saw that yesterday. Look, the minute that the fake news came out, as this Truth Social posted, that, look, okay, we're going to have a 90-day stop, pause, whatever you want to call it. And all of a sudden, the market exploded to the upside. And when it did, boom. And now we know exactly what the market will do with any good news. And we've been talking about that good news, so it should not surprise anybody. Shorts got decimated overnight. And, of course, yesterday, as the first move to the upside, yesterday probably was around 9:45 yesterday as that news came out. All right, let's get right to it. Advanced decline already telling me everything I need to know this morning. Plus almost 4,000, 39,113. That's a big jump here in early markets. So that tells me everything as well. And of course, looking at light sweet crude, 61.02 now a barrel. WTI, West Texas Intermediate. That also tells me that recession is still on, that people are still nervous about the world. Nothing's changed yet. The only thing we're changing right now is the trading right now, the revenue coming out of that. So look at that, interestingly enough. Now, one of the things that we saw this morning was the NFIB. That's the National Federation of Independent Business. That's the lifeblood of the United States. That tells you small business is the answer, right? And so what is the optimism here? And we're seeing 97.4. That means to me that we are definitely starting to contract a bit. Optimism has gone below. Anything under 100 and over 100, we know that already. I'm going to, yeah, there we go. All right, let's get right to it. Also looking at the VIX here, the VXX, as I've been looking at lately, not the VIX itself. Now under the 70 handle here at 68, looks like 68.85. Looks like I need to get my glasses. 69.68 now. Looks like I need to get my glasses, but fixed. But look, right now we can see one thing happening. The markets seem to be a little bit confused, right? They're not sure which direction to go. We're literally living on tweet by tweet. And because of that, the nervousness. Now, look, regardless of the direction that you want to go with this market, I'm telling everybody right now that you need to be having limit orders on both sides. If you're long, make sure you have those covers. If you have them, if you're the short side, make sure you have the limit orders to the downside as well. Because quite frankly, we don't really know what's happening. The news is happening so fast and so quickly. We're not quite sure exactly which way the markets are going to go yet. Because if anybody tells you, hey, look, my chart says this, your chart doesn't say anything. Your chart shows you where it was. And of course, me being a chartist for almost 35 years, I can tell you right now that this is where the markets pretty much are holding steady right here. Dow, looking at, okay, now we're seeing now Apple now up 2.3% here in the early trade and Amazon up 4.33%. That tells you that people are still buying, the consumers are okay, but the optimism is down. So nothing is changed, right? The world hasn't changed. In fact, I would say it's probably turned a little bit worse overnight. And so because of that, I would not be heavy long, although I am still optimistic, as everybody knows. Not a perma bull for sure. I do believe in the bear markets. I believe that we're in one, or was one in one. We're not in there one anymore. But I do believe that we are in a market that is pretty much at the threshold of whether or not we have another tweet or whether or not good news or bad news. Any good news pushes the market straight up. Any bad news pushes it right down. So we are it's like that nervous Nelly out there. They just don't know which way to go. So right now we're seeing that pretty heavily. Also looking at spot gold now, 30, looks like 30.08 right now. We're really rough. It's rough on gold as well as silver. I'm looking at silver now at 30.30 now an ounce. That's also telling you a few things, right? That usually people go to hedge with gold and silver, with metals, and we're not seeing that as well. All right, I'm going to get right to it. I think everybody wants to see the charting, so I'm going to go right to the charts. And I want to show you a little bit today of our system, our software with Quasar Markets. And you can see I already have it set up for a few things this morning. I'll go small, so maybe we can see a little. There you go. I'll go small, but look right here. You can see we got a few things lined up here. And the first thing I wanted to show you is the news for the day. Look, this is the calendar. Nothing on the calendar. There's a 3-year note auction. Want to see how that's going. Obviously, seeing if the Chinese are still buying our notes, and I don't think that they are. And whether or not in the afternoon at 4:30 after the market closes, cash market, we'll see the API numbers for oil. Mostly be watching for tomorrow's 30-year mortgages and wholesale numbers, as well as EIA numbers. And then, of course, the 10-year note tomorrow is what's really making me nervous, because we want to see whether or not foreign entities are still buying our notes after all of the talk. You'll see on our right-hand side, I got Saturn news up. That's all the news coming in as fast as possible. You can see China's working on a new Windows 11 start menu. That could be interesting. Looking at that too, MSFT. And one of the things I also want to point out is that I was just looking at the latest WASD reports. It's the ag reports right now, that they're talking about trade policies. You can see it right there, trade policies that are in effect. That's what they're worried about too. Ag's very worried about trade policies, and you can see that too as well. I'm also looking at what Google Trends are. And of course, this morning when I was looking at the Google Trends, one of the things that I looked at, and let me just pull it up for you. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to pull it up by the United States. I'm going to pull up what's trending now in the United States. You can see, you can pull it up. And as we do that, before I pull that up, you'll see Amazon and NVIDIA are looking pretty good this morning. So we'll see how exactly that's working. And we'll see what's trending right now on Google Trends. As it comes up, I'll pull it up. But right now, you're looking at the S&P up 2.36%. Looking at the euro now at 109. Bitcoin it's really struggling there, but trying to get above that 80,000 handle here as we're looking at. Right now, look at the things that people are looking at right now. They are looking at Alibaba stock, Shiba Inu, right? So they're getting right back into it, price prediction. So that's why it's important to also not only just look at your charts, looking at the news around it, but what people are actually looking at too as well. So those are the few things that I'm actually looking at too. You can also see iOS 18.2 people are looking at too as well. Have a food poisoning issue. And of course, this is the one I wanted to talk to you about. As this morning we talked about major airstrikes in ISIS. The president has talked about this a little bit now. We're now talking about U.S. strikes dozens of ISIS camps and operatives. So we are still looking at ISIS pounding there in Syria. So we could see some issues here, as well as in Tehran, in Iran. So we could see some situations where war is escalating, and we can call it police actions or however you want to talk about it. But we are talking about, last I heard was 6 B-2 bombers are preparing now. So get ready for that. This might be short-lived. As you see the Bitcoin just jumping there now, breaking that 80,000 handle. We talked about that a few minutes ago. I did want to say, hey, look, Bitcoin is pushing now. Let's see if I can pull that up here in a second. I will get you a chart, and we'll pull those up here as well. All right. This is the dollar MEX as we know now, and I'm going to pull up Bitcoin for you. As we are seeing it now starting to really, really move. There we go. Boom. 80,119. That is my daily chart. Looks like daily chart looking good. I'm going to pull up 10-second chart and get it pulled up. There you go. There it is right there. That was a nice pop there to the upside. Lots of buying coming in this morning. So we saw that buy dip, and here it is. So still holding above the 80,000 handle here, but we'll see where we are right now. And of course, you heard Shiba Inu price prediction. That was a big question mark this morning. So there it is. So yeah. All right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody stocks they want to look at this morning? Let me know, and I will definitely go look at it. Ripple trying once again to go to the upside here too as well. But yeah, I'll keep the Bitcoin chart up because it seemed to be moving quite heavily this morning. I'll also pull up. A lot of people always ask me about my, there we go, left side, and I'll pull that up. So what is it that I'm actually looking at? Here's how my charts in the morning look when I'm looking at all of the things in the morning. I usually have it set up this way. You can see that the NASDAQ here, spot gold. When people ask me how I know these numbers so fast, there they are in front of me. I have them laid out. The 10 years on my left side. I have gold and silver on top of each other. The dollar over crude. Why? Because that's the dollar is mostly crude is mostly set in crude, and then the advanced decline and of course the tick. I want to know how fast the markets are moving, and I want to know how many are moving. So that's how I usually have my my chart set up on one chart page. If you don't know me, I have about 14 charts. So for those of you who think I don't like charts, you probably you don't know me very well. I have about 15 screens in my office right now that are up, and about 23 total. The rest of them are on TV screens or on chat. All right, I'll get right to it. I'll pull back up to the main chart here as I'm looking at this here. All right, and one symbol. There we go. There it is. So all right, and Bitcoin still slipping a little bit here, but it's still holding above. Secretary of Treasury Bissett now says China's retaliatory tariffs are a big mistake. The rhetoric hasn't stopped out of the White House yet, so we're going to see how it's going. Look, that bothers me a little bit because we're still talking about the tariffs in China and the argument, and then of course seeing Zelensky talking about how there are Chinese fighters now in Ukraine, so they are stepping it up just a wee bit here, and we do know that for a fact, so that's good. All right, let's get right to it. And of course, China retaliating, saying that they will fight to the end. That's the course, the answer that they had. They said that they will not stop, especially with having a 50% tariff. They said yesterday they're going to pull the IP off of the United States. So any IP that's not protected there. Yeah. All right, let's get right to it. Excuse me. There's a little pop there right there in Bitcoin here. A little popcorn. And then gold now 30.17. We're seeing 30. See, there you go. For those of you who don't know, I am using Heikin-Ashi with my candles. I'm not using regular Jap candles that I usually use with the high and low and close, what they're called candlesticks. I'm not using those because I want to see a little bit of the closure of it, right? I want to see the upside, the downside. Right now, you can see to the upside when you see negative. This was a bullish move, right? That's the difference by Heikin-Ashi. That I know that was a nice little move. Now, this is a 10-second chart, and I can tell you right now, this is a bearish for a little bit, but not bearish long enough. And this little spinning candle right there told me that we could go right back up on spot gold. Now, if I pull up Bitcoin, I can tell you the exact same thing. This is negative here. Probably see a little bit more selling to the downside a little bit, but this is a 10-second chart, so I wouldn't go to it. I as you know, I always talk about the 3-minute chart. That's what Wall Street uses. You can see here that this number here is still a little bit bullish, but there is a protection at the top. Someone's selling up there. There is some sellers up there. So, and we know that. So right there, holding it at 80,000 handle seems to be where they are pinning it a little bit here. All right, let's get right to it. And not looking at the news here a little bit. We'll pull up some news. I'm going to pull that news up and we will share this tab instead. All right, get back to it. I'm going to pull up some of the news this morning. And if you can see here, it's very quick. I can sit here and click on add a widget. Click on that. If you haven't done it yet, quasarmarkets.com, get yourself an account, pull that up, get yourself, it's a free account right now. And get the just real simple. Just put your username and password, email. That's about it. And click right in. You go right on into the system. But we can see here, if you want to upgrade your system, you can get news. And one of those news pieces here we can actually add is institutional news. And I think a lot of people are looking for the institutional news. That they want to ask me, do I have an institutional platform? The answer is yes, we do. And I'll save that so you can see it. And it's literally that fast. You can see I can put it in however way you want to look at the markets. There you go. Kronos Group there now was price target there was lowered to $1.65. It's literally that fast, by the way. Cleveland Cliffs price target there was lowered to $8.50. So we are seeing a lot of stocks getting lowered, but they're in a Kronos Group, as everybody here knows. It is. It looks like the White House's ONDCP, Office of National Drug Control Policy, is negative on cannabis, and we will reschedule it. So you start to see some of that down. Cannabis is going to have a rough next 4 years. I don't think anything good here. Next decade in Saudi Aramco entering the LNG sale. We talked about that last week here. Howard and I talked about that. LNG, liquefied natural gas. That's where we're going to go to. Looks like oil and gas itself, but liquefied natural gas. And United States is an exporter of that. Actually, there's a go. Price target on Canopy Growth, another cannabis stock getting lowered there, 80 cents from 98 cents. So looks like, yeah. There you go. Applied DNA, APDN, now getting compliance again with NASDAQ. Their minimum bid price rule, then you get those prices up. They got to keep it over $1. And they've been out since November 12th. Keep going through some of the other news there. Fortinet expands their AI across their security fabric platform. Fortinet, FTNT there. Flywire announcing newly deployed integrations with Lucian. So these news pieces are coming in just in the last few minutes here. So a lot of news flying in. If you want that, all you need to do, look at that. Steel Dynamics also look at Bank of America releasing a lot of their price targets, and look at that, lowering almost everything. Commercial metals, Nucor, nothing is getting raised. That's a bad sign in the markets, by the way, folks. So if you're seeing that, that's really not a good sign here. All right, let's get to it. Right now, once again, we talked about it. Oh, there we go again. Once again, Winchester. Oh, there you go. Safe and Green announcing a 51% purchase of Winchester Oil and Gas. We talked about that. Look, as rates come down, and we're seeing them a little bit. I know the rates are pushing up a little bit. 10-year now, 4.12. But one thing we're talking about is M&A. And in order to get M&A, a lot of times you need to have the ability to borrow money, and I'm telling you, M&A is going to be really hot. So we're still doing that right now. All right, let's get to it. Also, I want to pull up Quasar Markets. Here we go. You can see our live show right there streaming. But if you're not on it, we are at Quasar Markets. That's the Twitter handle at Quasar Markets. You can see it down here. And look, we are growing very fast, and we expect to see you there. Now, if you want to. I don't have to tell you to do it, but you can also look me up too as well. I'm QM Big Beat. That's right. You can see all the things that we're doing as well. I'll look at that. There we are, and I'll push our morning show. I'll also push that to the top as well. Yeah, good. There we go. And get right back to it, and we will see the news in real time. All right, I'm gonna get back to it, and we'll share this tab. All right, here we go. China has requested what? China initiates WTO dispute regarding U.S. reciprocal tariffs. There you go. Coming out already. Okay. All right. AT&T price target there was raised to $29 from $28.50 at Scotiabank. AT&T, yeah, I mean, I can see that, right? As people turn to their phones and AT&T, there's a couple things there. This is the year that we look like we're getting a new iPhone and iPhone 16. So I could see that. And of course, I think it's also a place for defensive stocks. So if you're looking for a place to go hide money, that's probably one right now. Oh, look at there. And of course, Scotiabank says it's a great place to hide. There you go. Okay, good. I like that. All right, let's go forward here a little bit. Our system also allows you to look at options, and options turn on here in a little bit. You can watch TV if you want. Census data, Fred data. You can ask questions of it too as well. You can see StockTwits is already in the system here. If you want to look at StockTwits, you can look at charts. We have charts in the system, as you know. We can look at Forex data. It's our Steve Flanagan, right? And then, of course, CIA world leaders. We'll get to the comments right now. Yeah, Shane Jemison, how are you, man? And Shane Jemison now posting that. I'll post this back to there you go. There you go. So Trump had a great call with South Korea, says China wants to make a deal. That's good. We know that. We know that China, but we think, well, I want to see what forward facing is saying. Talk to me a little bit, Shane. Tell me what you're thinking with China. I mean, China outwardly is saying, hey, no, we're going to stick to what we're doing. But, when we talk about it from that perspective, you have to say, okay, what is China going to get by making a deal with us? We know that over the last few years that a lot of our manufacturing, including Nike and rubber, has moved to Vietnam, in Cambodia, and places that are, that are producing in South China Sea, those areas. Japan, obviously, now more manufacturing for the United States, and getting away from China. So China is becoming less of a factor. And we also know that China is also, some of their costs are going up, whereas Vietnam's costs have not in Vietnam. So I don't know yet. Let's see what China has to say. But China sending troops to Ukraine, that's a little scary to me. All right, get back to it. Boom. Hope you can see that. Okay. And then, of course, we can see here CIA world leaders. You can change the country here. Right now, we have United Kingdom. I don't know. We can look up Burkina Faso, Burundi. There you go. We can actually look it up by names of people, too. There's the president of Burundi. Right now, we're talking about China. And look, for those of you who don't know those countries, right, you can easily pull it up. There's China. And you can figure out who all the leaders are. And when you hear about their names on the system, we talk about those names. Now you know who they are, right? We talked about a lot. Liu He, vice premier of the state council. We heard about his name a lot. All right. Hurry up and wait, Faye. Still interesting to watch regional partners on the matter. Yeah, you're totally right, Shane. I mean, look, let's talk about that for a second. When you look at China in general, and you actually ask, they are the leaders in that area. Now, I would argue that Japan is the leader in the Asian sector, right? What we call the APAC, the Asian Economic System, Asian Pacific Economic Council, APEC, that they are the leaders, right? That they are the ones calling the shots when it comes to the Asian system. But when you look at it from the perspective of number of people, and we talked about this yesterday, the number of people, the growth in China since 2010 to 2020 was almost 40, 50, 60, 70%, depending on which province you're in, right? So China right now can be more nationalistic than us, right? Well, our growth in people is not nearly at the level that we were. So I don't know, this hurry up and wait system here for me, I don't know. I think China has a much longer term thinking about the business side of business than we do, right? We think about what's going to happen tomorrow. We can't wait to the next data point. Whereas China really isn't caring about that, right? They've built whole cities that no one lives in, right? Preparing for that. They built infrastructure where nobody actually even drives on the road because they're preparing for that. So I think they're more nationalistic than we are, especially considering that they are communistic. But we can debate that. Bring it on. I'm happy to debate that, Shane. If you want to, you can send you the link and you can come on the show if you want to talk about it. All right, we'll get right back to it. right now we're looking at a few things here too as well. But right now, I also want to pull up our. There we go. Our system actually works also in your Oculus or your Apple Vision Pro, and this is how mine works. You can actually touch things and move things around, and you can see right now. You can watch Schwab. You can watch whatever show you want to watch too on it right now. But I'm going to pull up because I think we're about to open here in about 5 minutes here as well. I'm going to pull up. There we go on the air. I'm going to pull up the bigger heat map. There we go. So everybody can see it. Probably blow it up a little bit, and we'll see where we're going right now. All right, I will connect on the other side here. And Apple pushing higher here. Now again, we're seeing Bitcoin now 80,154. So we are trying to push to the upside here. As most of you know here, I am keeping my eye on NVIDIA. I'm still bullish on NVIDIA. 103.93. Most of you know that I went heavy back at 105 again, so that's where I'm at. I should be pretty much cash flow positive there on in my NVIDIA shares here in a few minutes. So we're looking there, still going as all of this good news coming out is actually doing pretty well. So you can see here we're looking at the Euro 109. 109.53, Bitcoin now 108, 181, and Ethereum back above the 1582 handle. I think I'm not going to get bullish on Ethereum until we get back over 1800 as it runs back to 2000. Under 2000 was kind of bad. That's when the sell-off really started to exacerbate a little bit there. As I think the miners for the most part got nervous. 104 now on NVIDIA, pretty much getting closer to the highs of the early morning session. 103.97. 103.95. All right. You might have any stocks out there you want to look at? Let me know. We'll pull those up and we'll look at them as well. I will also pull up our charts here as well. There we go. You can see that I'm looking at Bitcoin again. I'm going to pull up a 1 second chart. I know a lot of people I know don't look at the 1 second charts, but right now Bitcoin is moving that fast. 80,212. There it is now. Gold still not quite there yet. Dollar MEX. We talked about Dollar MEX quite a bit. With Steve Flanagan, 2053. That's a lot of margaritas for those of you who are not paying attention. There you go. There's a little pop there in the dollar MEX. Dollar getting stronger, very strong here. So this could be a good thing for us, but bad for us when we are looking at trade. So we don't want that here. There it is, 104.01, breaking the 104 handle a couple times here. We're having a little tough time at the 104 handle. And you can see I've held Elder's Force up, and I've had Donch and Chain channels. So there it is. And if I tighten it up just a little bit, you'll see where my Bollinger Bands are. They've widened quite a bit. And when they widened, the price also pushed up. So I expect a little bit more bullishness in NVIDIA going into the open here, as we have about 2.5 minutes left to go before the open. I do expect us to push up. So get ready for NVIDIA here. Again, even more. Also, IBM, the big blue, up 2.5% here in the early morning trade. Look at that. Having a tough time here at the 231.50 handle, but I do like this a little bit. All right, 700 of you out there so far. Bring it on. I love it. Let's break those numbers. We're looking pretty good, pretty strong. Good start to the morning here. Look at this. Yesterday, what did I talk about with everybody? I said with Howard, and Howard's out today, but we talked about Netflix. Why? It's international, right? It's getting cheaper and cheaper for them to buy international movies, and it's getting cheap for them. And I've said it a million times. Anything under 1,000 is, for me, is a buy. So I still like that move. All right. We have the whole trading view system, if you know, inside of Quasar Markets. So big thank you to them out there as well. Look, I also think that FedEx could have a good run here too. Because you know what? If people are still buying again and the optimism goes back up, we know the optimism is down, then FedEx could be a nice run if you're looking for that. And I think one of the cool things I like about FedEx is that they have a small dividend yield, 2.7%. So they're still getting paid a little bit, even if you're waiting a little bit. So yeah. All right, I think everybody's looking for the big question mark today is Tesla. Elon Musk, not happy with the tariffs. He said this several times in the White House that he wants to see zero tariff policy around the world. He's not happy with the tariffs issue, and it's cost him a little bit. But I think we're going to see it. I think the futures are going to surge. Look at this Dow implied open now up 1,400 points. So as things are getting off, and I said this last couple of days, like any good news in the markets, and up we go. So right now, I still think that I said it yesterday. And if you were listening to me on the show, I told you the path of least resistance in the market is to the upside. And we nailed this. We absolutely nailed this. And if you were with me on NVIDIA, I mean, you could have easily picked up NVIDIA. I'm going to pull up a 1-hour chart so you can understand what I was talking about yesterday. You could have easily picked up NVIDIA underneath. Look at that. We talked about that. When the volume got low, right around 87, 88, it was a buy. And I know people, oh, well, don't do it until it's confirmed. You're knife buying. Yeah, absolutely, I'm knife buying because it's undervalued. It's way undervalued. I'm not telling to buy or sell, but you can see there's some selling right here at 104.19, 104.20. But I don't think so. I think we continue to go right on up, and the markets are open right here. We'll go back to the my normal page here for the bigger sides of things. There we go. Anyway. And we're now seeing the 10-year now 4.256 as the tick now down up 366, and we're seeing advanced decline line up 5,743. Bitcoin still pushing up. There we go, 39.3 now on the Dow now. Nasdaq now 18,047 there in the futures, and government bonds 10-year note 4.26%. Silver pushing up as well as spot gold still holding a little bit here. Let's see oil. If we can get oil above that 62 handle here, we could see even more of a bullish day here today. So right now, I'm not seeing that just yet, but we could actually see that. No news as of right now coming out. Right now, United Healthcare, CVS, all of them, Broadcom, all of them, Aristas, CNBC pushing it out right now, all up big. But we talked about that yesterday too as well, that the healthcare sector is very underweight, and that's a place to hide as well. So we knew that. And look, UNH up, right on up. UNH up 11%, 583 now. Yep. We're hearing that President Trump will have a press release today, a presser at 3 o'clock today Eastern time. 3 o'clock right now. Yeah. Yep. 3 o'clock that we will have, and I'll post that here too as well. Trump to presser at 3 p.m. ET. Usually there's a couple of us doing these, and today it's all me. There we go. Okay, here we are now seeing, we're right now hearing that UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer now facing questions from the liaison committee. Hearing that right now. There it is. S&P now jumping 3.4% here at the open. NASDAQ up 3.5% on the open. So, hey, we knew this was going to happen. And so those of you who are on the short side, you're absolutely not a happy camper today. Advanced decline line up almost 6,000 this morning as we saw that pretty heavy this morning. So, yeah. All right, getting right to it, keeping going. Okay, silver now 30.41 now. Light sweet crude not moving here, 61.42, and tick slipping a bit here as the Dow pulling back just a wee bit as we're seeing some profit taking, but still seeing up almost 6,000 on the advanced decline line. So nothing here. I think it's just mostly a little bit of profit taking here this morning. 800 of you out there, come on, baby, let's go. We really are appreciative of everyone tuning into the show this morning. We're going to see hit new numbers this morning, new high numbers this morning as we go into German Economic Institute has now cut their forecast for 2025 now to 0.1% growth. Wow. Germany still, I believe, it's going to be in a recession still for a while, but right now they're now cutting their forecast to 0.1% growth from 0.8% in September. That is probably telling everyone that you are seeing that recession last a little bit longer. Tick now up 47 as we're still seeing a little bit of a pullback here. Humana up 14.6% as United Health now up 9% here as a little bit of a pullback. Some profit taking there also on Humana, but still positive here by almost 6,000 is the advanced decline. So nothing changed for me here. The 10-year now at 4.249%. So we are seeing the 10-year pushing up as money's coming out of the bond market, right? They need to raise those rates in order to get people to buy the bonds. So right now, the bond market is not quite the safe haven that it was a few days ago even, right? So yeah. Right now, we're starting to see Trump says China wants to make a deal as his head deadline to steep new tariffs. So I'm going to post what his new. Yep, he writes this on Truth Social here a few minutes ago. Actually, I should say a few seconds ago. They say that Beijing has not yet reached out, but China says that China wants to make a deal as his deadline for steep new tariffs is drawing near. That is very interesting to me. Yeah. Okay. We'll see, but I think that could be. Now, yesterday we had record trading volume. Record day for trading volume was yesterday. That bodes pretty well for the banks out there. Those trading banks that are out there probably did very well there yesterday, as the sales and shorts and the money and all really started moving around. It's still volume, right? So I think that you're going to see banks do quite well. Look at J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs; those companies will do quite well in these down periods. So yeah, I still think that that's what you're seeing right now. I'm going to pull it up here. Let's pull up JP Morgan. You saw that the other day where Jamie Dimon, yep, up 5%. Look at that, up 5% here. Jamie Dimon releasing his new report. This is a 3-minute chart, 3 minute and 3 hour. And all of those are what Wall Street kind of looks at. So you saw 226 seems to be the 226.33 was the high of the day. That's where it's at. But right now we're seeing a little bit of volume and a little bit of liquidity here pulling up. We're seeing that right now, but still a little bit of a push to the upside. All right, Dow now up 1,100 points, as there seems to be a little bit Elliott wave telling you that maybe we're not quite done with the upside yet on the day. But looks like a little bit of MACD telling me might be a holding off just a bit, and the Elders Force saying that we are a little bit overbought here in the markets here. SIBO volatility index falling pretty heavily now, down almost 9 points here at 38.03. So we saw that getting up to about 53 and 60 the other day. I said that to you if you were listening on this show. I told you that's a little high. There you go. There's a bit of a move here to the upside there in the Dow. I'm going to pull it here. There you go. I'm going to pull up a 10-second chart. So there it is. Boom. And how does it hold right here? I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit here. Could be more selling as there is proper taking there. That's where your volatility is and your volume. So it could be a little bit more selling, but I think we push right back on up today, especially if we have any more new news coming out. This could be good. Yeah, there it is. Yep, see a little bit here. There it is. See, told you. Looks like that's where the volume was, right? That we could see a little bit of a pump here to the upside. Yep, 39.52, 39.55. Yeah, here we go. I had a feeling that was where it was. As you saw, this is where the volume is and the volatility. All right, but it could be holding here a little bit. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit where people are talking about scaling into Goldman Sachs. We'll pull up Goldman Sachs here real fast. We talked about that. Goldman Sachs up 1.5. Goldman Sachs, sorry. Type in GS. Goldman Sachs here now up 3.8%. I do like JP Morgan a little bit more because of the trading revenue, and that's probably why you're seeing it up 5%. UK's Prime Minister Starmer now saying that he is committed. Starmer now saying he is committed to UK's steel production here. So that could be interesting as I know that we're getting into these trade issues here. I'm going to add that banner here now. There you go. If we look at steel here, we can look at a lot of steel here. There's a lot of steel companies out there. And we'll look at the main one, which is that we all know is X, is up 0.74%. I like, if you look at X on a weekly basis, you've seen over the last, because of tariff talk, a pump to the upside, right? We might be filling in some of those gaps that we saw in the back end. I'm going to change out for those of you who are interested in seeing hollow candles. I sometimes like watching hollow candles. You can see that now. And then, of course, a lot of you like the filled candles to the upside. There's your filled candles. There's the weekly chart. Still bullish, and I still see the upside. But I like Heikin-Ashi, which is these here. I like Heikin-Ashi to see where the highs and lows are and where a lot of the pressure is into the buying. but we'll pull it up there. I also want to add some indicators. You can see, for those of you who don't know, I have a lot of indicators that I actually like. If you want to, you can probably take a screenshot if you need to here. I also do like anchored VWAP. For those of you who don't know, I believe in Brian Shannon's anchored VWAP. Those of you who don't follow him. I tell you quite frankly. Here we go. I'll add in some of the ultimates, and I also will pull in looking for hanging mans. I look for hanging mans all the time. So there you go. Why? Because I want to know where that sell point is. I'm not usually good at the sell. There you go. 1089 now on the upside on 10. Yeah, almost. There he goes. 1100 now on the Dow. Pull it up here. There you go. 1111. We talked about that just a few minutes ago, though. I expected another run to the upside. Now the Dow up 1100 here. This is a 10-second chart, so we're moving pretty quickly here. I had a feeling if you were looking for a nice little pop there, you got it. All right. Also seeing Salesforce here up another 2.74%. GameStop itself only up 0.23%. Tells me everything I need to know on GameStop, right? It's not getting into the markets, right? It's not mirroring everything else that's going on. So they're out of that and putting money into it. Now, where are we at on AMD? There you go. And of course, my fave is NVIDIA. NVIDIA now up almost a little over 5% now. Look at that. I like that a lot. I think I liked it a lot better when it was up to 104.40, but we'll see that. I'm okay with it. I'm still positive. I'm still bullish on it here. And I'm going to say long on NVIDIA. I think another good day. And if we get a pretty good deal, and if China and all those, yeah. Barclays says that here we go. U.S. Energy Secretary Wright is to visit the Middle East this week to seek to promote U.S. investment. So we've talked about this quite a bit here on the show, and I've said this, that the energy play is pretty good right now, right? We know that OPEC might meet and talk about it, about possibly cutting. If they do that, then oil is not going to hold at $61 a barrel. It's going to go back to 63. So we are there. We have about 19 minutes top of the hour. We're still pushing here a little bit. Yep, there we go. Still seeing NVIDIA pushing right back up, 103.24. I kind of said that here. 10-year now pushing up a little bit higher, 4.24%. Why? Because money's coming out of the bond market. They got to raise those rates, got to put it somewhere, and I think they're putting it back into the stock market. So where the safety was, where the protection was, is no longer there. I think they're putting it back on. I think it's a risk-on day again. There you go, 103.38, still pushing to the upside here. If we can get back to 104, it could get right back to the highs today. 10.27 now in the Dow. Is a little bit of profit taking happen, but I thought that's what we'd see. Walt Disney World up 4%. We talked about that yesterday on the show. If those of you know, I said Disney was definitely oversold yesterday. It was around 82, 83. I was like, wow, I really like the Mouse House down there. Anything under 100, I do like. Those are people that were asking me not too long ago where to hide money, and of course we talked about that. Howard, I talked about it here. Is Realty Income, that's ticker O, up 1.67%. Why? Because they sport a nice dividend of 5.92%, especially down here at these prices. And you can see here, I'm going to pull up a monthly chart on O. You can see, if you're looking, we've got a ascending triangle, higher highs, lower lows. We're putting it right into that crosshairs of where it should be. 53.75 is where I usually been buying, because it has a nice dividend, and this is a company that if the economy turns back around, we could see some really good buying here. But right now, it's not quite there yet. All right, we're seeing a little bit on Micron selling off. We're hearing that on CNBC a little bit as the sellers are starting to pick up just a wee bit here. There we go, 5-second chart. And up 6% as there's a little bit of profit taking happening here. I'll pull that down just a wee bit. Tighten the screens up a wee bit. There we go. And 72.58 there. There we go. Come on, baby. Let's go to the upside. Although, I like NVIDIA right here. And there it is, 103.87. I'm liking this. I think we'll get back to 104. Just talked about that literally 2 seconds ago. So if you listen to me, you were in NVIDIA to the upside here. So, yep. We're hearing from China Xinhua News. I'm going to post this, interestingly enough, about Cambodia. Hearing that Cambodia officials now saying, spoke positively about the close Cambodia-China relationships. We have said this on the air. I just said this a few minutes ago. Watch for China to make plays in other countries. And they're doing that, right? They're talking to Cambodia and they're talking to Vietnam. And that's how President Trump knows about what's going on in China, that they want to deal. But China is also sending troops to Ukraine. China is still making a big play in Latin America, and they made a huge play into Africa itself. So be careful. I mean, I think a lot of people don't really trust Africa, right? Or trust China right now. So you know what? Be careful right here. We just talked about that 104.18. If you listened to me earlier, I said we get back to 104, probably get closer to the high of the day, 104.25. We are very close. So if you listen to me on NVIDIA, boom. Okay, judge has canceled the 3 o'clock scheduled hearing today for the block on. Okay, here we go. I'll post it right here on the deportation of the Venezuelans under the alien. So a hearing for 3 o'clock has been blocked on Trump's deportation of Venezuelans under the Aliens Enemy Act, Seditions Act. So we will look at that later today. But it's really getting interesting about the Venezuela issue there too as well. And Venezuela is not quite our friend, so we need to be very careful. All right, hearing some new news here too as well. South Korea's president on CNN now just says they will not band together with China. All right, I'm posting this right now. News is coming in pretty fast here. A South Korean president now says they will not band together with China and Japan to counter U.S. tariffs. So look at this. The Asian pact getting a little bit interesting. With that, I would say that we'd see another push here in the markets here. Could even push even higher here as the Russell now up 2.73%. Small caps even participating in this rally here today. This is good. This is what we want to see. As some of this, there it is, near the highs of the day, 104.64 now on NVIDIA. If those of you were listening to me, I said at 105.30 and 105.13 where I made some big buys there on NVIDIA a couple of days ago. We're already back to it, only with a couple of good pieces of news. So it really wasn't even that big of a deal here. So I'm liking this a lot here, up $7 here today. All right. Got about 14 minutes now until the top of the hour. Well, I will turn it over there at that point. Yep, Dow now up 1,200 points. As if you listened to me earlier, we were only up 1,000. Now up another 200 points. 200 now up to 25 now in the Dow. We'll pull those numbers up. There you go. Boom. There you go. A little bit of selling here in the tops here, but I like this. I don't think the bands are starting to tighten a little bit. That means the downside, right? Be careful here. It looks like it's a little bit overbought here on the upside, so be careful here. It's like some volume is not coming in to promote the markets here right now, so there could be some selling coming in. I don't think so, not heavily, but not enough for me to actually change my mind. And if I look at a 1-minute chart here, still a little bit. And then if I pull up a 3-minute chart, what Wall Street's looking at, still looking a little bullish. So not quite there yet. I'm okay with this. Boom. Boom, look at that. So we could see a little more push to the upside. Not quite there. But I'm not quite sold on it just yet. Look at that. 1,000 people here now watching on the show here. We're reaching almost the highs of our show numbers here in the morning show. So bring it on. We love it. If you don't know, go retweet this tweet now and get it out there. Tell everybody about our show. We're doing quite well here. Quasar Markets is exploding to the upside, our company itself. I'm asking everybody out there, if you don't, hey, listen, go sign up. Go to quasarmarkets.com. It's a free sign up. It can't hurt you, right? Sign up. And, okay, here we go. White House economic, we just heard it just now, a few minutes ago. White House economic advisor Hassett says they're getting ready to present a plan to Trump on who and when for tariff talks. So here we go. This is hot news breaking right now. Scott Bessent right now. He is our Treasury Secretary. I'm going to paste it right now. Boom. There it is. White House economic advisor Hassett now saying, getting ready to present a plan to Trump. Remember I told you there wasn't a plan? I was not kidding. There wasn't a plan. I have been saying this for a while. I want to see a plan presented to the president in order for things to happen. And guess what? I agree with this. I finally am starting to agree with the president on this and how they're running the White House. This is a good thing. Present a plan, show people what you're looking at. And I think this is very positive for the markets. I think that's it. They are, Hassett says they are prioritizing Japan and South Korea on tariff talks. All morning long, we've been talking about this. This is exactly right. We talk about South Korea, Japan. These are the countries that lead. So if they're the leaders, I want to see that. If they're leading, then they're going to make sure that Vietnam and Cambodia and the other countries that make product for the United States, that they actually will be the ones that are doing this. So I like this right now. All right. Trump says he wants a senior White House official. The news this morning is moving very fast, folks. I mean, very, very fast here. So we're pulling in a senior White House official now says executive order directs Energy Council to designate coal as a critical mineral. All right, let's get right to it. If that's the case, BTU, there it is. Peabody Coal up 12%. We see the pop here. We'll also, if we're looking at look at here at Warrior Met, right? W Warrior Met. HCC, right? Boom, there it is, up 5%. BTU is your big one. That's Peabody Coal Company. That's near my home area, up 12%. So listen, the news is telling you everything. Your charts aren't telling you anything right now. The charts right now are telling you, listen to the news. The news is telling you everything right now. Trump says he wants all right. Wow. Okay. Right now we're hearing that Trump wants fair and reciprocal trade. Will weigh that as he decides whether to accept countries' offers. He says he's focused like a laser beam on big trading partners that have been giving us trade deficits for years. I mean, I think this is right. I don't disagree with this. This is not throwing 50% onto your, 54% and 100% and all that craziness. This is very, very well planned out. More thinking here is going into this. I like this. This is what we should hear from the president and from the team. I like this a lot. And I think it should also be putting into, yep, there you go, 104.39. We'll continue to see near the highs of the day there on NVIDIA. So the chipset manufacturer. Okay, here you go. Trump now says, this news is moving very fast. The president is speaking here. Now saying that President Trump now says that China also wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. Says Trump, we are waiting for their call. All right, well, if that's the case, then this is good news. And I think you're going to hear some good news out of China here pretty soon. But this is good news. There it is, 104. We're seeing another move to the upside here. So I'm liking this a lot. Look at that. 1,080 people now are viewing us live on the show here right now, live everywhere. If you're not, retweet, repost, send it out there. Let everybody know about Quasar Markets. Come join us. We are growing and we have a great trading community. We're going to have education. The education platform is done. We're going to reveal that here soon. Look, a lot of partners coming in, over 300 here. The place is really growing. So we are becoming. I want to be the Amazon of finance. So here we are, and look at the show. I mean, the show is growing already. I mean, all you got to do is just click on that button, click on subscribe. YouTube as well. Click us. We got Facebook, we've got LinkedIn, all that fun. But here on x.com, we love it here as we're now get that 104.65. We are very close to the highs of the day, and I think we might break the highs of the day here. 104.78, 104.75. This news is trumping the charts. I'm telling you, and pun intended here. So there you go. Seeing a little bit more news coming in. Fox News says White House senior advisor Hassett telling China, we are prioritizing trade. There it is. He goes, Hassett says, I don't comment on Fed rates. He's laying off the Fed too. We have heard several times from the president talk about he wants to have rates cut. But for him, I don't think it's in his best interest to talk about Fed for the rates. I think that's where the president needs to have that chat with, and Powell needs to make those decisions. And look, we all know, and I've called it on this show several times, that it is time. It is time for the Fed to cut rates. I think we're going to see a cut cut here before the July meeting, or at the July meeting, I should say. We're already calling for 3 to 4 rate cuts, and I think we're going to see it here. We're banding about here a little bit at the top here. We'll see if we can't break those highs. But with just 1, 2, 3, this is where your charts come in, right? When the no news is now coming in, and now you want to know where the market's been. That's where your charts should come in to give you a much better, clearer picture. Charts should give you a clear picture. The news should tell you the direction. Right? That's what I'm trying to say to you. It's not just about charts. It's not just about news. It's about also sentiment, looking at Google Trends, looking at other things around the market, finding out what the AI is telling you. We have AI, complete system of AI in the system. So, wow, we're about to break a new high here on the number of people watching the show this morning, 1,116. Come on, let's go. Let's break that 1,300, and we'll have the biggest show we've ever had. Okay. Elon Musk now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm going to post this anyway, but we're hearing Elon Musk is now calling Navarro truly a moron. Wow. So seems that there's a little bit of discontent in the White House right now. If you ask me, I think Musk's days in the Oval Office are probably numbered at this point. We'll see, but I'm thinking that they're probably numbered here. All right. There we go. Another run here. We'll see this last run here and can take these tops out here. But we are seeing a lower top, even by a little bit. 104.87 is the high of the day. Can we break that? We're getting close. 104.79. I think we do. We got a nice run at it. There are some sellers in there. We know that, right? But the volume is low. We get that too. But I think we could possibly run as we're starting to see a little bit of force to the upside. And we are trying here. I'll pull up the Dow here. Now. Yep, there we go. Dow now up 13. There it is. Boom, the high of the day, as we called it right here live on the show. I said that. Yeah, I think I think hearing from Scott Bessent is a good thing. I think we've talked about this several times. Cooler heads in the White House. I think this is a very good thing. I think giving the president a plan, laying it out for other countries to understand that we're just not willy-nilly in this. I am very impressed with this White House right now. I like what's going on. I did not like this no plan, no situation, not knowing what to do, and throwing out numbers like spaghetti. We call it spaghetti on the wall. That's not a way to run a White House. I am liking what's coming out of the White House much better, and so are the markets. This is what I'm saying. The news is telling you that. Your Treasury Secretary is telling you that. Foreign governments are telling you, look, we like the fact that we want zero tariffs. I agree with this. So you know what? This is good. This is really good stuff. We're now at the new highs of the day on the number of people watching the show. Again, if you're out there and you're watching, click that repost. Click that, hit the like button. Subscribe. Talk to us a little bit. Got some comments out there. If you got some stuff. Hey, good morning from Lucky Charts. Yep. You're posting stream. Thanks, man. We're playing green light, red light today. Absolutely. But I think today is green light. Look, there you go. Thank you so much, Lucky Charts, for reposting the stream. I appreciate that. Asking if we're playing green light, red light. I feel like it's a police show or song, right? But, look, let's be honest about the markets right now. The markets have been absolutely beaten up and oversold from zero DTEs and a few other things that they've been attacking the markets. And for me, that's what's bothering me, right? So when I see that, I'm looking at it from the perspective of the path of least resistance. And I said this yesterday in the show. Howard asked me, the path of least resistance is to the upside. And I said this, any good news, and up we go. And we saw a little good news yesterday. And we saw the tariffs pause for 90 days. Fake news. Stock went from down 1,400 to up 400 in less than a 30-minute period. I mean, that's crazy. There it is, another new high today on NVIDIA on the high of the day there. I am liking NVIDIA a lot today, up 7%. We need to see a little bit more of a push here. I think NVIDIA could go up even more today as we start to see this. Right now, we're hearing that Jim Jordan, Republican member of Congress here, I'll post this now. There we go. Jim Jordan suggesting Republicans that they go to conference with the Senate over the budget resolution. Says the leadership in White House are very opposed to this. So we want to see. There we go. Come on, NVIDIA, push again. Lots of good news coming out, and that's very positive here. Let's see if Elon Musk calling Navarro a moron is affecting Tesla stock. Not today, up 5.4%. Could be another push to the upside here. Loving one of my favorites, Charles Schwab stock. If you're paying attention to me the last few days, you know that I was telling you about Charles Schwab. I like the company. I like what they're doing. They're growing very, very fast. I like what they're doing in their social media. I like what they're doing from the perspective from being on the floor of the exchanges. 74.09, up 6%. That's what I'm saying, folks. Look, when you're looking at the markets, you want to hear the story, and you want to make a decision on that story. And right now, the story is to the upside. The stories are getting better. You're already hearing from all these different places that the world is ending tomorrow. And I don't think the world is ending tomorrow. Yes, it didn't feel good when we saw a pullback of 20% in the markets, but the market was oversold. We are going to the wrong side. And when we did that, I think that's what happened. So now the path of least resistance is now to the upside. A little bit of profit taking, which is totally expected. I told you this earlier. Bollinger Bands were widening a little bit. That's positive, but now they're starting to tighten a little bit. So I'm seeing that. But I still don't think, 104.26. I can see that. We'll see where the linear regression goes to, but we're almost there. All right, it's 10 o'clock. Listen, I want to say thank you so much. We had a great show in the morning here, and I'm going to end it right here. If any other people want to talk right now, this is your chance, but I am going to let you guys go because it is 10 o'clock hour, and we will be tweeting other people. I want to bring in a guest here in a few minutes, Kevin Koharki. I'm looking forward to this one, and I'm going to take this off. I'm going to pull up my screens here, and I'm going to add the stage Kevin. Kevin, you are consulting and CAE investment advisory. Welcome to the show here. How are you, man?
No, thanks for having me, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here. How you doing?
I'm good. Look, we've been talking about for like the last 30 minutes. Look, the markets have literally been really hurting, right? And people have been to the downside. And look, let's talk about that. Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get right into the markets and all the fun things we've been doing.
Yeah, no, in a prior life, I was an investment banker and then turned academic. I do a lot of financial statement analysis for Purdue University, and then started consulting with some very large organizations, some Fortune 100s, the top 2 bank in the country. I'll be at their headquarters tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Just training up their employees, a lot of financial acumen, and then I'm just a dyed-in-the-wool stock picker. So love doing a lot of stock analysis.
And well, let's do a stock analysis. I mean, what are you looking at? You're happy to present if you want. If you can share your screen if you want. If you get charts, happy to pull those in too. Just so you hit the button, and I can pull mine off too as well. There we go. But I look. The talk around the world has been pretty negative. And I've said this for a while as somebody who's been a chartist. I mean, I started with graph paper and pen. I don't know about you, Kevin. And I love charts. But right now, the charts aren't really telling me everything. Is that right? Or am I wrong? Am I totally wrong?
No, I think you're right on that. I mean, so look, we're coming at this from opposite sides of the spectrum. So I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Buffettologist, if you will. So I'm a fundamental guy. And the fundamentals are very interesting right now. So for a guy like me who's trying to buy a dollar bill for 50 cents, I actually love the negativity. When I see green, I get upset.
Well, that's true. As a Buffett follower myself, he went to cash a little while ago and everybody laughed at him. No one's laughing at him now, right? And tell me, what is it that you think that Buffett saw that nobody else really kind of saw?
I mean, it's just a guess, but I mean, I'll tell you, I've been in more than 50% cash for a couple of years, and I really think it's just been valuations for one. I mean, when you get a valuation on the S&P 500, a forward valuation of 25 times, you start touching towards that higher end. And then, Buffett has said himself, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't know that he is fully bought in on a lot of the AI, for lack of a better word, hype. And people are just waiting for this to pay off. I mean, as an analyst, when I look at some of these big tech companies, and I've seen their capital expenditures go up 4 to 6 times in the last 5 years, and everybody keeps saying, okay, but where's the payoff? If there is no payoff within a reasonable period of time, I think this multiple comes down pretty hard.
Yeah, but I mean, Buffett's the same guy who says he would never buy Apple stock because he doesn't understand the tech, right? And then when he started to understand the tech, he started to buy it, and he was way late. So he even admits the mistakes. Look, I look at AI, and we have AI in our system here. I look at AI, and I've been talking about it for 15 years, right? for me, AI is something. It's not something new. AI has been around for 50 plus years, right? Artificial intelligence, the actual word. You're absolutely right, though. It's not paid off for a lot of companies yet, but I think it will in the future. But let me ask you, as a fundamentalist, what sector are you actually looking at? Where are you looking to put money?
So I've been a lot in the industrials space, particularly aerospace and defense. And part of the reason for that, it's twofold. One, based on current production rates, we're looking at anywhere from 4 to 10 years current production rates
Hmm.
just to reload Europe's missile stockpile. So when you think of missile demand and things like that, it's going to run for a while. Then, when you look at Boeing and Airbus, and just take the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, I do some speeches for them. Right now, we're roughly around 24,000 commercial jets in the global fleet. That has to double by 2040. So we have to go from 24,000 planes to about 49,000 planes.
Right.
And of the current fleet today, only 6,000 will remain in 2040 because they have to be retired. So the amount of airplane, commercial airplane, single aisle, double aisle production, or wide body as they call it, is going to be insane. And so when I look at long-term trends like that, a lot of these short-term blips, they're buying opportunities.
And let me ask you. I mean, we hear warmongering going on with China shipping some of their troops to Ukraine.
Yep.
We're hearing President Trump had sent B-2 bombers, getting them ready. We're hearing now that Iran has the saber rattling is going on. Are you factoring any of those planes and those build of military weapons based on what you're hearing out of this talk?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, because you just never know when something, pardon the pun, is going to burst or explode, and it's complete chaos. The only thing I know is when I look over the next 20 years, the chances of there being world peace are probably pretty slim.
Yeah.
And so that just sort of feeds into the narrative. So when I see some of these stocks down 20-30% over the last, let's say, week, it's incredible. And you just think of the long-term demand pictures, and you think, I'm not seeing it in the fundamentals, guys. I don't know why these
And
companies.
you got a specific one you like there, Kevin?
Yeah. So honestly, one of my favorites is RTX. So they're
Okay, right.
trading down. They're trading down into the mid one teens at the moment. They were just recently around 130. And when I think about 2026 free cash flow somewhere along the lines of 8.5 to 10 billion, depending on the adjustments. Um, we're easily looking at a 175 to 200 billion dollar market cap for a company, I think, whose market cap now is probably around 150 billion. And that's not really factoring any growth. That's just getting back to what would be more of a normalized free cash flow level.
Yeah, and you're looking at that too. I mean, the last earnings report is in 14 days. What are you looking for in the earnings coming out?
Yeah, so I follow this company pretty well. I know them pretty well. Honestly, in the next quarter, it's really 2025 is going to be about hitting their 2025 fiscal targets that they set back in 2020. So they're projecting somewhere around 7.5 billion in free cash flow. So that's one of the measures. And then also one of the things that they've talked about publicly is that they've had just a little bit of struggle, let's say, integrating when Raytheon and United Technologies came together. So this is a multi-year integration, if you will. And the street really just wants to see that the operations side of the house is just helping to meet production demand and get product out the door. So inventory declines, contract asset declines, just better working capital management, I think, is what the street's looking for.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And of course, with Raytheon, is there anything else like Lockheed Martin? You looking at any of those in the same situation? Looks like the charts are
So
pretty much the
I
same.
definitely look at them. The interesting part with a lot of the other primes, as it were, Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and whatnot, their organic revenue growth has been relatively slow. To where RTX has been, it's actually been high single digit, although this year they're forecasting mid single digit. So some of the other primes don't have the program depth, if you will, as a company like RTX, and so their growth is a little bit slower, but still good company, still performing well. I just like RTX from the growth perspective a little bit better.
Love it. I love that a lot. So what else you got there?
So one of my favorites, similar vein, not exactly, but if you think of a company called Cadre Holdings, so the ticker symbol is CDRE. So this is
Yep.
a company that was created years ago by a gentleman named Warren Kanders. eventually dominated the space as a legend in that space. I think he sold it to ABB, and then I think I have that right, and then later bought it back. And this is a company where if you are a police officer or anything like that, you obviously have a holster for your weapon. There's a 90% chance it came from them. And when you look at their own data, police spending, it doesn't matter what the trend is. It doesn't matter if it's global recession or defund the police or whatever it is. Police spending goes up every year without fail. So it is a really consistent business. This is a company that generates a lot of free cash flow relative to earnings. And so using just a flat PE ratio doesn't do it justice. You really want to do kind of a free cash flow yield or a DCF on this one.
And what do they do with that cash flow? I mean, do they put it back in the company, or do they send it out as dividend? Because I'm not seeing a big dividend here, only 1.26.
No, yeah, this is not the team right now that I want doing dividends. Respectfully, they're all about organic growth, simply getting slightly more price increase than just what the market derives, and they've been knocking the cover off the ball on that for years. In addition to just bolt-on acquisition, so they are very disciplined in their M&A strategy, usually paying a mid-single digit multiple of EBITDA and just entering different verticals. So Europe is a big vertical for them right now. They've actually just entered the nuclear space because, to your earlier point, they see what's going on with AI demand, and they realize a lot of these reactors aren't being shut down but restarted. And so they deal with a lot of work on the safety side. So this is a new growth area for them. So it's pretty exciting, and I've been enjoying watching the stock drop from 40 to the mid 20s recently, because it just very well managed, great balance sheet, good cash flow, and a great management team. I think the street's missing a few things here.
Nah, I think Cadre's president should be paying you, man. I think that was a good analysis of. I like that. What else you got there, brother?
So I go deep on some of these. So right now, I have not fully analyzed this one yet, but I've been watching it. So bear with me. The first two I've analyzed extensively. This one I'm still working on. So grocery outlet. Think of TJ Maxx for groceries. Ticker symbol is GO. When I found them, they were around $30 a share. Now they're $14 a share, and the stock price is cratered because their prior CEO did a couple of things. He tried to expand the store base too quickly and enter new markets too quickly instead of just, for lack of a better word, saturating the current markets that they're in. And then he did, I believe it was an SAP rollout that just did not work well. It started around August 2023, and they lost a lot of visibility into their inventory analysis and inventory planning. And it, for lack of a better phrase, sort of blew up the operations a little bit. So they're in a fixing mode. Their new CEO, whose name escapes me, I believe, turned around Fresh Market. So he's been in retail quite a bit. And the thing I love about this company, even though I haven't fully analyzed it, is a lot of these problems just seem like basic blocking and tackling. And what's fun about it is right now they only have 533 stores in the US, and they think they can grow to 4,000. So even if they're wrong and they can only grow to 2,000, there's a lot of runway ahead on this one.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they've got everything. They got delivery, and they got 500 stores, and it looks like they've got pretty good situation here. Okay, I like this.
The only thing they're not doing is a lot of e-commerce, like an Amazon or stuff like that. They just don't think that that's relevant for them because, like a TJ Maxx, their whole thing is the treasure hunt atmosphere, and they let their store owners, who are their franchises, basically, their franchisees, kind of control the inventory assortment to a degree for local tastes. And so it's very much that treasure hunt atmosphere, which in their mind, just like TJX and Ross stores, doesn't necessarily lend itself to a lot of online shopping.
Yeah, right. All right. And Kevin, you got anything else before I let you go? Because I tell everybody a little bit about how to reach you. I think that to me is important as we bring you on as a contributor, and to us, I love this stuff, right? This is important, right? So tell us a little bit about how people can find you.
So there's two companies that I basically founded. So the first is CAE Consulting, which if people say, what does CAE mean? Well, it's as Warren Buffett says, it's a CEO's number one responsibility is capital allocation. So CAE stands for Capital Allocation Enhancement. So my website, www.caecoach.org, that's where I help companies as large as, like I said, Fortune 100s, the number 2 bank in the country, literally all the way down to mom and pops. Just figure out, okay, this is how I read my financial statements. This is how I make investment decisions. This is how I run my business better, and basically enhance trust, culture, and performance within an organization. So I know that's a lot, but it's actually rather simple training on the companies themselves for their various employee groups so they operate better. The second, and this is where the stock ideas come from. So my clients and my students at Purdue have been asking me for years, do you teach anybody how you invest in companies, how you do these deep dives on these companies? And I was putting it off. And then somewhere last year, I got it in my head that I thought, I really have to do this. So on the same website, I basically have a For Investors tab. And what I have is a subscription service where once a month, I'm going to do a deep dive on a company like a Cadre, like a grocery outlet. And where this is different than, let's say, a Barron's or anybody else, is you get those high level stock recommendations, if you will, from those places, but nobody ever shows you how to do the deep dive analysis to figure out, well, what is the real EBITDA, or what is the real free cash flow of this business? What are the real economics of the business? And that's sort of what separates me from the rest. And it takes longer naturally, so you got to get fewer recommendations, but in my mind, you get deeper, higher quality recommendations.
I love
So
it. And I'm going to put your email address up here too, as
yeah,
well. So get to finding you, man. Cause I think that, I think that so many people, they just don't get it. When I say, like, look, sometimes you need to be coached. Sometimes you need a little help in the market. Sometimes you don't have the same, as I call it, pedigree that you and I have, right? I mean, Purdue University professor, you've got the pedigree, right, for finance. But they don't have that. They're learning, right? And I love that kind of stuff. And I think that's, I think you've got the price down to a good price to meet you and to be able to hang out with you and to learn from the professionals, right?
exactly. No, and I've been doing this for 25 years. I've loved it ever since I was 18 years old. And I mean, really, it says it on the website, but it's no joke. I mean, when I was 18 and I read Peter Lynch's One Up on Wall Street and then Warren Buffett's annual letters to shareholders, I dedicated myself to being the best analyst I could be. Because I realize a lot of people are just mailing it in, and it's just so dangerous to do that with your own money. I mean, I wouldn't go pretend to be a heart surgeon. It's going to lead to bad outcomes. But people do it with their money all the time.
That is absolutely sure. Kevin Koharki, I want to say thank you so much, and we'll see you the next time on here. I appreciate you being on the show.
No, thanks for having me, but I really appreciate it. It's been a great time.
All right, that'll do it for the Quasar Markets Live this morning show. Thank you so much. We just broke an all-time record for a number of people on the show here. So say thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.